Hello, everyone. We will be getting started with the live Q&A webinar shortly. We're going to wait just a minute or two to help ensure that everyone who has registered gets the chance to join, and then we'll start taking questions. So in the meantime, feel free to open up the chat tool on the Zoom toolbar and let us know where you're joining from and what kind of work you oversee. It's always nice to get to know you a little bit better in these sessions. My name is Cara, and I am joined by my team member, Tiffany. We work on the onboarding team at When I Work, and our goal is to help ensure that new users get up and running with When I Work scheduling and attendance tools. Myself and Tiffany have both been with When I Work for a long time now, and we have seen accounts for a wide variety of workplaces and industries from all over the world. So no matter what your workplace needs are, I am sure our team has seen something similar, and we'll be able to help you and your team get set up for success. All right, it does look like our attendees have evened off a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started so we can be sure to get to as many questions as possible during this time. So I just want to welcome everyone again who just joined. Welcome to our live Q&A session. Thank you for joining us today. We are so excited to help you get started with When I Work. So for the next 30 minutes, we will be answering your questions about When I Work scheduling and attendance tools. We're going to show you some ways that you can save time creating the schedule, managing timesheets, and communicating with your team. We'll get to as many questions as we can during this time, but if your question does not get answered, or if you think up some other questions after the session, you can always chat with us. We will provide some information at the end of the session on how to get in contact with us, so be sure to stick around for that. But for now, let's get started with asking some questions. So how this session works is that everything is centered around the questions that you ask. So to ask us a question, click the Q&A button on your toolbar and type out your question. Tiffany is going to be going through and asking some of those questions out loud so we can demonstrate them in our When I Work account. And also, depending on where we are in the session, she may also rearrange or type out some of the answers to questions, but we'll be sure to get to as many as we can. So with that, I am going to switch over to my When I Work account and give a quick overview of navigating the web app. So currently I am logged in as an admin. Admin is kind of the highest level management level user that you can have on the account. They have access to manage all of the settings, managing employees, the schedules and timesheets, and access to the account and billing page where you can choose a plan. But when you log in, you will be directed to your dashboard. Here is a great snapshot of the things that you need to know that is going on in your workplace, including your schedule for the day, a snapshot of who is scheduled, who's clocked in, if employees have any time off, and if you have any shift requests to process, you can jump to all of those sections right from here. We also have the attendance notices section. This will let you know when an employee forgot to clock in or out, if they clocked in and out early, or were no-show for a scheduled shift. So right from the dashboard, you can edit the time or approve the time and view the details. We also have some charts down here. This has a breakdown of all of your positions, the shifts by position. You can also see that for open shifts as well. The worked labor costs for the last 7 days broken down by position, and you can also see it broken down by job site if you're using job sites. And then the pay period forecast, which shows how your scheduled hours compare to what is worked, what has been entered on the timesheet so far for the pay period. Moving over to the scheduler, This is where you assign all of your shifts to employees, enter open shifts if you would like to use that self-scheduling tool, and then you can publish and notify your employees of their schedules right from the scheduler page. Next are the attendance tools. We have some clocking options that we'll go over later, depending on what you have active in your account. Some of those will appear there. We also have the time tracker. This will show how those scheduled shifts for the day compare to what is on the timesheet so far. So if you see this green bar, that means that a shift is in progress. An employee has clocked in for their scheduled shift. If you see a blue bar, that means they have completed their shift for the day. We also have the ability to hover so you can compare the scheduled shift to what is being worked. And then the timesheet section. So this is going to be the place where you will be spending most of your time if you are using that attendance add-on to track worked hours. Here you will have all of your pay periods and all of your employees' timesheets to go through. Next over is Work Chat. This is our in-app messaging system. You can configure this a few different ways where you can have just an all workplace channel for announcements or allow extra channels for employees to talk amongst themselves. This is a really great way to get all of those communications about the work schedule or timesheets in the account, and it can help cut down on maybe those post-it notes or text messages here and there that you get from employees. So this is a really useful tool for keeping connected. Next is the request menu. Here is where you will find the area to submit time off requests. You can process time off requests if they require your approval. Process shift requests, which are going to be those shift coverage options we offer, like swapping of shifts and dropping of shifts. And open shift requests, which has to do with our shift bidding feature. Next over is the workplace menu. This is going to be the building blocks of your account. So your list of employees, the different positions that they work, so those skills or duties that they're going to be undertaking during their shift, schedules and job sites to manage locations on the account, shift templates where you can set up shifts for those commonly used shifts that you schedule over and over, which will help speed up scheduling. We have a report section with all the exporting options, task lists where you can set up a list of tasks for employees to do either during their shift or during a day, and a document storage feature where you can put any documents that you would like to share out with your team. Next over is the gear icon. So we have our general scheduling and attendance settings. This is also where you can set up your payroll integrations that we have and access to that account and billing page where you can select your plan. Lastly is the profile menu. So this has everything to do with your personal profile. So my profile to edit your details, your personal schedule, submitting your personal availability preferences, and also managing your notifications in the alert preferences section. So with that, let's get started with some questions.
Awesome. Our first question is, how can I input availability for my employees and see that as I'm scheduling?
Wonderful question. The availability feature is one of my favorites because it really empowers employees to be able to get the shifts that they want, and it makes it super easy for the person creating the schedule to meet those availability needs of employees. So to edit availability or submit availability, you can hover over the workplace menu and select employees. From there, in the actions column, you will want to press the circled check mark icon that corresponds with the employee's availability you would like to edit. So when an employee logs into their profile on their end, they're going to see something almost exactly the same as this, or you can also go to that employee's page to add or edit any of these availability preferences from your end. So any future date, a preference can be added to. So when you add a preference, you can choose whether you're unavailable to work or if you prefer to work. You can submit that to be all day or select a certain time range. And you can also set that to repeat on certain days of the week up to 1 year in advance. So once those are submitted, they will appear on the schedulers to help you build your schedule. If somebody has an unavailable all day preference, you're going to see a block on the scheduler like this, where it says unavailable. If they have a partial day unavailability preference, you will see this little flag in the corner of their scheduling row. You can hover over that to see their unavailable times. And as you are creating a shift, any shift templates that you have that overlap with that unavailable preference are going to be grayed out just to guide your scheduling as you're going. But you definitely have the option to schedule the shift anyway, as these are just preferences. So if an employee needs guaranteed time off instead, have them submit a time off request rather than putting their unavailable preferences. So you can still schedule a shift even if the employee is unavailable, and you will just see this little conflict marker in the corner, meaning that they're scheduled a shift during that unavailable time. So for the preferred times, going to look very similar. Those are going to be flagged in green, and they have the preferred when you hover over that little flag. And again, as you are creating shifts, you will see the ones that fall within their preferred time range first, but you can certainly still schedule them for shifts outside of that time range as well.
Thanks, Cara. Our next question comes from Amanda, and it's, can you edit schedules and only publish the changes to those who are affected? Love our advanced publisher and how all of our notifications work.
Awesome. Yeah. So as you are creating shifts in the schedule, they are applied to the scheduler in the unpublished state. So this means that the employees cannot yet see this shift on the scheduler. And you'll see that these unpublished shifts have diagonal lines running through them, so you can see what has been published and what hasn't been yet. So when you go through and publish, you can press this publish and notify button in the corner to publish everything in your current view of the scheduler. So anything currently that I have unpublished between January 24th and 30th is going to be published, and only the employees who are scheduled during that time or are going to have a shift published during that time will be notified of the changes to their schedule. So you can publish there. Ooh. One moment. There we go. I must have just not reloaded there. But also, if you ever need to narrow down who is going to receive these notifications or resend notifications, we do have some advanced options. If you press the down arrow on the publishing icon, you can select certain recipients who you want to send the notifications to. Enter a specific date range. So if you want to publish several weeks or several months at a time, you can add a date range there. And then you can send those notifications to employees, and you can add an optional email message if there's anything that you want to remind the employee of as you're scheduling those shifts.
Advanced Publisher is so cool when we get to show it off. It's almost like a little hidden gem. Our next question comes from OSA, and they want to know how to assign locations to their employees. So I think it's a great time to go over schedules and job sites.
Absolutely. So we have two different features that can help you manage your locations within the workplace account. The first of those is schedules. So if you want to create a schedule, you are going to hover over the workplace icon and head to the schedules page. There you can press add schedule. There you can name it, enter the location. If you're using our computer clock in, you can add an IP address for time clock verification. And once you have that schedule created, you can head over to the employees page and assign employees to that schedule. That just means that they will appear on that scheduling grid when you hit the scheduler. So in this account, all of my employees are assigned to that Shifty's Coffee and Bakery schedule. So all of their names are listed on the scheduling grid. I do have a separate account here that shows what multiple schedules would look like in the account. So we're going to head over here so you can see what that looks like. You might want to use multiple schedules if you have several locations or departments that you are scheduling for, any way that you want to divide up separate teams or separate employees into one scheduling grid. So in this account, I have several schedules, one for each of my coffee shop locations, and I can use this menu in the corner here to switch between the different schedules. So this is nice if you have, those different departments or locations, and you only want employees to be tagged to the schedules that are relevant to them. Another great thing about multiple schedules is that if you have an employee that does work at multiple locations, you can see when they are scheduled for a shift at another schedule in the background, and that can help prevent the double booking of shifts. So I am going to switch back to that other account now, and we'll go over job sites, which is our second feature that helps you manage locations. So the job sites feature is an optional add-on to a shift to let your employees know where they will report for that shift. Again, to create those, hover over that handy workplace menu and select job sites. From there, you can add in the name and location for your job site. And then job sites are assigned to individual shifts on the scheduler. So this shift over here has a job site assigned, Nicollet Mall. So as you are creating the shift, you just choose your appropriate job site where you want the employee to report for that shift. And one of the great things about job sites is that you can have everybody in one schedule, in one scheduling grid, and still be able to see all the different places that employees are going. And you can also use the job sites filter to help narrow down your schedule by job site. Here's what I mean by that. So I can click on this Mears Park to see all of the shifts that are at that location. So I get a great overview of what is happening at that job site.
Awesome. Yeah, the filters are super awesome to see what's going on just at one location. Our next question, which we don't get very often, is from Rain. And basically, if they're going to have a slower day, how could an employee drop just part of their shift? Sounds like swaps, drops, and shift splitting is on the agenda next.
Awesome. I love talking about our shift coverage options because they really give employees the flexibility and responsibility for being in charge of their own schedules. You are able to take that off of your plate so you can get back to the important parts of managing your workplace. So you can come over to the scheduling settings over here. This will help illustrate what I mean by these different options that we offer. So we have a few different ways that employees can get their shifts covered. You can turn on some of these, turn some of them off that you don't want to offer, or you could even turn off the entire feature if you want employees to just come directly to you to find those shifts to cover. Releasing means that an employee is able to drop their shift, and that shift will go to the open shifts row of the scheduler. And any employee that is eligible to pick up that shift will be offered that shift. Dropping means that employees can drop a shift, and any employee who is eligible can pick that shift up. There is no responsibility on the employee who is dropping the shift to pick up a different shift. This is just a one for drop to another employee. Swapping, on the other hand, allows the employee who initiates the swap to switch shifts with another employee, and only shifts that both employees are eligible to work will be offered as a swap. So that's a nice way to make sure that employees are able to swap the shifts that they are qualified to work. And the one feature that most people are looking for is the require manager approval for swaps and drops. This just makes it so if an employee initiates a swap or drop, that first is going to be routed to a manager to approve or deny that. And if approved, then it will be offered out to their coworkers. As for splitting shifts, this is a great way to allow employees to get shift coverage for just a partial shift. So if you have splitting enabled on the account, you can set the minimum shift length to split, and then an employee will have an option to split their shift. They can put that shift into two parts, basically make it two shifts that they can then swap or drop part of that shift to another employee.
So many great options for employees getting their own coverage. Our next question is, what are the different ways my employees can clock in for their shifts?
Awesome question. So let's head over to the attendance settings. This is a good place to illustrate the different options that we offer. So our first option, and probably our most popular, is clocking in with the mobile app. So with this option, employees will download the When I Work scheduling app on their Android or iOS device, and then they can use the clock in and clock out button on their dashboard to punch in and out for their shifts. You also have the option to restrict those clock in and outs to a specific location based on either the schedule address or job site address. And this helps ensure that employees are clocking in from where they are scheduled instead of, clocking in from their kitchen table or clocking in from the parking lot. So this is a great way to give that responsibility to employees, but also make sure that they are still clocking in and out where they need to be. The personal computer clocking option is a wonderful option if you have a workplace where maybe employees all work at a desk and have their own computers. So this allows employees to log into their profile on computer, and then they can hover over the attendance menu and select clock in to clock in and out for their shift. This can also be restricted by location. So as you saw earlier when we were creating schedules, there is an option to enter an IP address that is used for this computer clocking option. So you can restrict the clock in and clock outs to the location where the employee is scheduled. Our last option, and the one that's most like a traditional time clock, is our time clock terminal. You can set up a time clock terminal on a computer. We also have apps for both iOS and Android. It's a special time clock terminal app. So if you search When I Work time clock in your App Store or Google Play Store, that should come up. And this will allow you to lock that device as a central location for all employees to clock in and out on. So you'll see a screen like this once you lock the terminal for use, and then employees can enter their email address or an employee ID that is set in their employee profile to clock in and out for their shifts.
So many great options. Mobile's probably my favorite too. Our next questions actually come from Amanda and Joan, and it's, how can I edit the timesheets, and can I edit them at any time?
Great question. Sure. So let's hop over to our timesheets page. Here you will see all of your timesheets for your employees. To edit a timesheet, select the appropriate pay period in the menu in the top left corner. From there, you can click in the cell and edit the times, and either pressing enter on your keyboard or clicking away from that cell will automatically save the timesheet. You can also add details like the schedule, the position. If the employee has a lunch break that they took, you can add that to deduct that time from their time entry. We also can add a job site or leave a note if needed. And then you can see the full history of all of the edits made to that entry on the timesheet as well. So this is a really great tool for being able to go back and reference who made changes at what times. And then the second part of that question was if you can edit it at any time. So for this, you are able to make edits to the timesheets that or the pay periods that are open. So you'll see in this corner of the menu, you will have this little icon which indicates whether a pay period is open or closed. An open pay period just means that you can still make edits to that pay period. Employees can still clock in and out and have that information transferred to the timesheets for the pay period. So any open pay period you can make edits to. And if a pay period has been closed out, that just means that it has been checked for review and is ready for export. And if the pay period is closed, you can't make any edits, but you can always reopen the pay period if needed, if you need to make any edits, and then close out the pay period again for processing.
Awesome. And our next question is, can I track tasks that my employees complete during the day?
Yes, absolutely. I love going over our task feature. This was a feature that we created based on customer recommendations. We always like to be sure that we're taking our users' recommendations into account so we can make the software even better for you. So if you hop into the workplace menu and go to task lists, here is where you are going to set up those lists for your employees. We have two types of lists that you can create. First is team tasks. This means that anybody who is scheduled on a certain day can complete the tasks on this list. And shift tasks are assigned to a certain individual shift. So only the person who is assigned that shift can complete the tasks on this list. So if we head over to the scheduler, I can show what that looks like when you're assigning tasks and checking their progress. So you can see the clipboard icon here at the top of the scheduler. You can click here and you will see your team tasks at the top here. You can click in and see who has completed what tasks for the day, what % complete your task list is. And if you want to assign one of those shift task lists, you can do that when you are creating the shift by selecting the shift task list here. And then as employees are checking off the different tasks that they are assigned, you can monitor that all from the clipboard icon up here. And employees are able to check off these tasks from a little card on their dashboard within the mobile app on Android or iOS.
Awesome. And then I think the last question we have time for is, what are the different access levels and how do I assign them to my employee?
Great question. All right, so we are going to hop over to the employees page under the workplace menu. This is where you create your employees and assign them those different access levels. So we're going to hop into a profile here. As you are creating the employee's profile, you can select the role menu to change their access level. So the admin level, kind of what we briefly went over before, is the highest level of access in the account. This means that they have access to everything: the settings, the schedules, the employees, and access to the account and billing page where the plan is selected and the billing information is contained. You can have up to 3 admins on the account to help manage that account and billing page. The next level down is a manager. So this has everything that the admin level has, in that they can edit and manage schedules, timesheets, employees, and settings. The only difference is that they do not have access to that account and billing page where the plan is managed. Supervisor is the next step down from that. Supervisors will be able to manage the schedules, timesheets, and employees for these schedules that are tagged in their profile. So this is really useful if you use multiple schedules on the account and you only want your supervisors to see the employees and schedules that they manage. So if Allison here was a supervisor, she would only be able to manage the Shifty's coffee and bakery schedule that is tagged in her profile, and she will only be able to manage employees that are also tagged to this. Employee is kind of that base level user that all employee profiles start as. And this is the access level that lets you view your schedule, view your timesheets, submit time off requests, and initiate shift coverage requests if that's enabled for the account.
Awesome. Looks like that was our last question. It's time. Stumbled there a bit, my bad.
No worries. All right. So we have a little bit more information for you for the end of this. So I'm going to switch back to my presentation mode here. We just wanted to tell you a little bit more about the plans that we offer to help guide you in the right direction as you are trying out When I Work. So at the beginning of 2021, we rearranged our plan and pricing structure to include everything in two simple plans. We have our small business plan level and our enterprise plan level. For both of those, you can use the scheduling only, or you can have scheduling and add attendance onto that. So our small business scheduling plan includes all of the scheduling features that we went over today. So access to that scheduler, team member availability, communication tools like a work chat and notifications are all included. You can also have as many schedules and job sites as you like on the account. And you also have access to some of those more advanced features like auto scheduling, task management, and shift bidding. So this small business plan is a great fit for workplaces with less than 100 employees. If your workplace exceeds 100 employees, we also have an enterprise plan available with all of the same features included on the small business plan, in addition to some features that are specifically designed to accommodate larger teams. So features like single sign-on, global privacy, and access to the API. So if you're interested in any of those enterprise features, feel free to reach out to us after the session and we can provide you some more information on that. But if none of those enterprise features are necessary for you and your team, you can absolutely still use the small business plan beyond 100 employees. There's no hard cap on that plan. Just if you want those extra features that are designed for large teams. So as I mentioned, we also have an attendance add-on to our scheduling product that can be enabled. So our attendance product is this optional add-on to scheduling that includes the features that we talked about, like timesheets, all of those clocking in and out methods, the GPS location enforcement for clocking, paid and unpaid break options, timesheet exports, and access to any of our payroll integrations. So if you log into your account on the web, you can preview and mock up pricing for your plan by heading to the account and billing page found under the gear icon on your toolbar. From there, you can press upgrade my account and check out to activate. I know that's a kind of a scary sounding button, but on that next screen, you will have the option to modify your plan, turning on time clock and attendance, turning on annual billing if you want to pay upfront for a plan in advance for a year. There is a 5% discount to that. So you can mock up your pricing, but you don't have to press purchase until you are ready. Let's see. So yeah, by default, we offer that monthly billing cycle, but you can also put on the annual billing cycle if you want to use When I Work long-term. That's a great way to save a little bit on the cost of your subscription. So if you have any questions about any of our features or what plan is best for you, do not hesitate to reach out to us. You can get in touch with us right within your account on chat by pressing this chat icon in the bottom corner of the screen. We also have a lot of great help resources. So if you click that Need Help button on the sidebar, you will have access to all of the articles in our Help Center. We also have a wonderful training center that has both videos and guides that walk through setting up the account from both the management and employee perspective. So Tiffany is also going to send a list of resources in the chat section that we used earlier to get to know you all a bit better. So feel free to copy and paste that into a Word document or a Notes app, and you can save that for later. It just has some more information on how to get started, the different plans that we offer, and some training resources. So I just want to wrap up by saying thank you so much for joining us all today. And thank you for all of your wonderful and insightful questions. Again, do not hesitate to reach out to us if you need anything. Our team is here to help. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their Thursday.